evening, everybody. Even though I'm sure there's probably still more people logging in. Just happy Black History, present and future. Thank you for popping on tonight for the Open Road Fund Community Education Session, Minding My Black Business. I'm Shireen Anukwe, and I'm a member of the Open Road Fund team and a small business owner myself. And I will be the facilitator for tonight's discussion and workshop. The Open Road Fund, I'm just going to tell you first a bit about the Open Road Fund and then also Nexus. So the Open Road Fund is the community trust fund. It's endowed by the Bush Foundation and stewarded by Nexus community partners. The fund serves North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota. We currently Nexus Community Partners, which stewards the Open Road Fund, is a nonprofit organization founded and currently directed by Rapal Maka. And through our work at Nexus, we focus on building and supporting communities of color by, expanding community building initiatives that expand community wealth and foster social and human capital. So this is the Open Road Fund team, which again, I'm a part of. And we, some of them are on the call behind the scenes tonight as well. But these are the dedicated members of this small but mighty team. And our work involves stewarding the $50 million trust fund in addition to a variety of community engagements and programming like the workshop you're attending. The Open Road Fund, the Open Road Fund community education sessions offer financial education, resources, and information. They're free, virtual, open to the public, and Black-centric. For upcoming workshops, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, or to check out previous workshops. You can also visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All of our social media handles are at Nexus CP or at Nexus Community Partners. For more information about Nexus, our website is nexuscp.org. The advisory committee. So our advisory committee is a valuable partner in this stewardship. They come from a variety of professions, fields of work, experiences, and expertise. They helped develop, design, and currently advise the fund. Council members, they live in all 3 states that we serve, which again is North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota. So I'm just going to go through our agenda for tonight so that we all know how this is going to shake out. So first, there'll be a general introduction of our guests tonight, which are from Family Freedom Center in Duluth, Minnesota. And then we will watch a brief video excerpt. And then we'll get into some panelist introductions where they'll have a chance to introduce themselves and talk about their work and their organization. And then we'll have a facilitated discussion with the panel and open for Q&A. So I do want to mention here, please hold your questions until Q&A opens. And we would prefer that you use the Q&A function, but if for any reason, you're not able to use the Q&A function, we will be prioritizing the questions in the Q&A. And then if we have time left over, we'll try to comb through the chat because it's difficult to kind of track those. And then we will have the random prize drawing for 2 $50 gift cards. And then we'll close out the session. So let me see my next slide. So first, I'm just going to start with a general introduction of Family Freedom Center, and then again, they will do a more in-depth introduction. So Family Freedom Center seeks to empower the Black community by reconstructing cultural and socioeconomic narratives and unapologetically embracing what it means to be Black, both historically and present day. And their website is here also for you to be able to visit. But we're very happy that they're joining us. And so we will hear more from them in a little bit. So first, I'm going to start with Jacob Aaron Bell, is a leader in economic development and Black business ownership in Duluth, serving as executive director of Family Freedom Center. Bell stepped into leadership following the passing of his father, Xavier Bell, who helped build Family Freedom Center into the city's first autonomous Black nonprofit. Since then, he has expanded the organization's mission beyond advocacy, turning it into a powerhouse for economic mobility, ownership, and wealth building within the Black community. Under his leadership, Family Freedom Center has grown into the largest Black governed employer in Northeast Minnesota, driving initiatives that equip Black entrepreneurs and business owners with the tools to build and sustain their ventures. Bell's work is rooted in the belief that ownership and representation are the foundation of economic power, and he is committed to building systems that create prosperity for future generations. So thank you, Jacob. I'll move on. Cashmere is a man of many talents, an author, illustrator, music artist, and mixing mastering engineer. He's also an innovative change agent, community leader, motivational speaker, and father from Chicago, Illinois. Cashmere has a degree in sociology and communications, an advanced master's degree in social work from the U of M, University of Minnesota, and he's currently pursuing a doctorate in education. As the Director of Business Development at Family Freedom Center, Cashmere is unapologetically thrilled to work within his community to generate opportunities and build wealth to increase life expectancy for Black people. In his free time, he enjoys creating music, meditating, working out, and developing new business ideas. So next is Solomon. Solomon's versatility and talent is unmatched. He is a recording artist, singer, songwriter, entrepreneur, community leader, and family man. Raised a minister's son in Duluth, Minnesota, his musical career began early singing in church. His talent has led him to share the stage with icons like Prince and Larry Graham. He is currently finalizing his second album, Starlight, and plans upcoming tours in the US and Asia. As a family man and activist, he is dedicated to children's causes through advocacy and ambassadorship. Known for his deep empathy, Solomon connects with chronically and terminally ill children, drawing inspiration from personal family losses while making a significant impact. Solomon is also a former professional indoor football player and has owned and operated several restaurants that promote holistic soul food. He is currently the Skilled Trades, Arts, Robotics, and Technology Program Director at Family Freedom Center. So thank you all so much for joining tonight. We're going to watch a video clip next that was produced by African Elements that helps frame tonight's workshop. Trailblazers explores both free and enslaved early Black entrepreneurs' challenges and ingenuity despite their circumstances and the systemic injustices dyed into the societal fabric. So this clip is roughly 5 minutes. So we can go ahead and play that. I'm not hearing anything if it is playing. So while we wait for the audio on this, I just also want to say that when we
African Americans have played a significant role in shaping the business landscape. Free Black entrepreneurs.
Thank you. All right.
It is a testament to the resilience and determination of the Black community in the face of adversity. From the earliest days of the nation, African Americans have played a significant role in shaping the business landscape. Free Black entrepreneurs faced discrimination and often had to contend with laws that restricted their opportunities, yet they still managed to find success in various fields, such as shipping, lumber, and real estate. If enslaved, Black entrepreneurs could sometimes participate in the market by hiring out their services during what little personal time they had. Even as their enslavers demanded a portion of their earnings, some enslaved entrepreneurs managed to achieve significant wealth. Despite the legal disabilities that restricted their opportunities, some free Black entrepreneurs managed to develop business enterprises that provided services for white patrons or that specialized in various retail and service occupations. The most successful Black entrepreneurs were found in New Orleans, San Francisco, and cities in the North. In the antebellum era, Black tradesmen played a crucial role in the development of Black-owned businesses in America. Skilled artisans such as blacksmiths, carpenters, and shoemakers not only provided valuable services, but also laid the foundation for the future generations of Black entrepreneurs. Despite the limitations imposed by slavery and racial discrimination, many Black tradesmen managed to establish successful businesses. This legacy of perseverance and ingenuity can be seen in the story of Henry Boyd, a former slave who became a successful furniture maker in Ohio during the 19th century. Boyd's innovative designs and skilled craftsmanship enabled him to compete with white-owned businesses, demonstrating the potential of Black entrepreneurship. Continuing this proud tradition of Black entrepreneurship, James Forten, a prominent Black entrepreneur in the 19th century, amassed considerable wealth through his sail-making business in Philadelphia. Forten's success allowed him to contribute generously to the abolitionist movement, making him a key figure in the fight against slavery. In 1850, Forten was worth an estimated $100,000, making him one of the wealthiest Black entrepreneurs in antebellum America. It was said of James Forten that his own coffers were so generously opened that only the wealthy New York merchants, Arthur and Lewis Tappan, contributed more to abolitionism than he did. The service sector also saw the emergence of Black entrepreneurs during the antebellum period. Barbers and caterers were among the most successful Black-owned businesses in this era. Black barber shops in particular became important cultural and social institutions within the Black community, serving as gathering places for discussion and information exchange. Catering businesses, on the other hand, allowed Black entrepreneurs to leverage their culinary skills and artistry to create a niche for themselves in the competitive world of event planning and hospitality. Many Black caterers gained reputations for excellence, and their services were sought after by wealthy white clients. During the antebellum era, there were several notable Black entrepreneurs who managed to achieve success despite the many barriers they faced. Among them is William Leidesdorff, a successful merchant and landowner in California during the mid-1800s. Leidesdorff is often regarded as the first African-American millionaire. His business ventures included shipping, real estate, and hospitality, which laid the foundation for future Black entrepreneurs to thrive. On the East Coast, Thomas Downing owned a successful oyster house in New York City, catering to the city's elite. Downing's business acumen and commitment to his community made him a prominent figure among Black entrepreneurs in the antebellum North. Among the Black women entrepreneurs, Elizabeth Keckley, a former slave, established a successful dressmaking business in Washington, D.C. during the 1860s, serving clients such as Mary Todd Lincoln. Keckley's entrepreneurial journey highlights the opportunities available to skilled and determined African Americans in the antebellum era. These early examples of Black entrepreneurship in the antebellum era demonstrate the resilience and determination of African Americans to succeed in the face of adversity. By establishing businesses in skilled trades and the service sector, Black entrepreneurs laid the foundation for the growth and diversification of Black-owned enterprises in the years to come. I'm Professor Darius. As always, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to the history makers over on Patreon and subscribers for being a part of our mission to educate and empower through African American history and social justice issues. Join us in spreading awareness by sharing our content. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll see you in the comments.
Okay, thank you, Olivia. So tonight, so as you saw from the video, there have been just wanted to put this somewhat in context for the discussion that we're going to have tonight about economic power ownership. And I should mention that the Open Road Fund has 5 wealth building themes, and economic power and ownership is one of them, which is why this workshop is based on that. The other 4, and let me see if I if I can get them right off the top of my head, are health and healing, education, let's see, housing and shelter is another. Was that all 4, Lavash or Olivia? Housing and shelter, education.
Financial wellness.
What was it?
Financial wellness.
Financial wellness. Thank you. So those 5 themes are what we believe help in terms of stability and help build wealth. So let me go on to my next thought, which is we want to welcome our guests to introduce themselves, talk about their work and their organization and what brings them to this discussion. So I don't know, gentlemen, whoever wants to start, jump in. And also please let Olivia know, when you would like to share slides and what slides.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shireen, and thank you to the entire Nexus team for inviting Family Freedom Center into this conversation. And I see these beautiful names in the attendees section. I want to welcome you all and thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jacob Bell. I'm the executive director here at Family Freedom Center. And I know that we're here to talk about entrepreneurship. But if I may, I'd like to kind of just start this off first and foremost by giving recognition and honor to the elders in our community. This is something that we do as an organization because Family Freedom Center was built off of a family model and understanding that each member of the family has an important role to play. And so I always just like to start this by giving the recognition where it's due, which is the elders of our community who founded our organization. But I'd like to take a minute just to give you all a quick introduction and a background to who Family Freedom Center is, why we exist, as well as what we're doing in the community. And then I'm going to pass it over to Cashmere and Solomon to talk about the entrepreneurship work that we do. You can go to the next slide. So Family Freedom Center was founded in 2018, legally speaking, as the first autonomous Black nonprofit in Duluth, or even in the Twin Ports area where we are up north. That is both a very exciting thing, but also kind of a sad thing if you think about the fact that up until 2018, there were no Black organizations out here. The Black community has existed in Duluth for hundreds of years. There are families and generations upon generations of families who have called this place home and planted roots in this community and have helped to build the Duluth community up into what it is. But up until we were formed, just to be frank, we didn't own anything out here. Very few homes were owned by members of the Black community. The businesses that were out here, while Black-owned businesses have existed out here, there wasn't ownership in the sense of the land and the physical spaces where the businesses were at. And there wasn't even communal spaces like barbershops or clubs or places for people to gather, with the exception of one Black church that was out here. And so in 2015, my father, Xavier Bell, along with several elders of the community, they got together and they started having conversations about where our community is in terms of the ownership and recognition that we have in this community, and understanding how small it was. They started to have conversations about tangible actions that could be made in order to develop a space just for us. Now, those conversations actually is how Family Freedom Center started. It started with a once a month conversation over some food in the basement of a old school in Lincoln Park. And from that moment, bringing the community together and bringing families together to have discussion about the wealth and ownership of our community we immediately saw the need for our communities to come together and to talk with each other in a safe place where they can speak from their hearts. Those Friday events ended up being one of the most popular things among all the families in our community, to have a safe and inclusive space where they could come together and speak freely, and to plan, and to dream, and to make action steps towards reaching those dreams. It became something that families in the community would look forward to every month on the last Friday, coming to our Freedom Friday events is what we call it, to start having real discussions, but also using it as a place to learn from each other and to teach each other and to start to build the community that we deserve out here. That started to grow and expand over time until in 2018, we actually did establish the first Black autonomous nonprofit. So we're all about the family. It's the first word of our name. It's the most important thing to all of us that are here. Wealth and ownership and knowledge and power, all of these things start in the family. We talk about, what is wealth? What is like a generational wealth in the community? That doesn't necessarily mean that our community has all the funding in the world, or that families have all the money in the world. What it means is that at the end of the day, the family is safe, the family is secure, and there's a platform for them to build and to grow off of, and to have a constant motion forward as a family. That's really what generational wealth is, but it starts with ownership. It starts with owning the ideas, owning the product, if you will, owning the land, having a stake in the community where you can actually have a voice and speak up to the things that you want to see in your community. And so as those conversations started to grow, we started to do more family self-sufficiency programs, is what we call it. First and foremost, we are a gathering place for families. You can see in this picture here, these are our different community events that we do both regularly, monthly, some of them daily with our youth. And we bring families together to be able to learn as a family, but also as individual generations in the family. So we have a multi-generational program structure where we have programs that serve every generation of the family. You can go to the next slide. One of our core programs is the youth center that we serve. The center, which is what the kids named it, serves about 45 to 50 kids a day and about 400 kids annually. Luckily, they don't all show up at the same time, or else we would be completely overrun. But the center is a place for supplemental education for our youth, as well as a place for youth to learn social, emotional learning skills, as well as just having a place to be and to enjoy their lives. But the center as a core is really a place to build wealth from the youngest generation of the family forward. And so we have a lot of programs that are really built on preparing our kids, even the littlest babies, for adulthood and for growing up, and how to be functioning members of the society, but also leaders within the community. Because again, that wealth and the ownership piece, it takes the entire family to do that. And so we start with the very first generation of the family. You can go to the next slide. As I said, we have a family self-sufficiency model. So our Freedom Farms program is a outdoor community agriculture program that teaches families how to be self-sustaining as a whole, how to grow their own food, how to start a micro enterprise after growing their own food. Also teaches our families how to be reliant upon themselves. Most of our families in our community receive some sort of assistance programs. And I'm sure you guys are all aware of what's going on in the country right now with different programs getting shut down and things getting kind of turned off. But this has actually provided us an opportunity to have some real discussions with our families, to ask the question, if all of the resources in the world were gone, would you be okay? Would you be able to sustain yourself and to be able to feed your family? And so the Farms program is a very important tool for the self-sufficiency of a family, because it starts with the foods that you eat. It starts with being able to put food on the table. And so we spend a lot of time teaching from youth to the adults how to do different agricultural projects. this program, I bring it up is because it's really the first step of what it means to be self-sustaining and to be able to support your family. But a lot of the programs that we have go much beyond that. We have the economic development programs within our organization are really all about getting to work on the wealth building practices. Again, with us being the first autonomous Black organization in Duluth, we made a stance of what it means to own something in this community. But we didn't stop there. We've used this as an opportunity for us to teach each other and to learn from each other of like, what does that really mean to own something, to own an idea, to own property, to own a home. And so we've taken steps over the last several years. Again, we're a fairly young organization, but we've been working hard for almost 10 years now, and we've started to develop our programs into more economic development programs that teach people how to start businesses of their own. And with that, I'm actually going to pass it over to Cash, who's our Director of Business Development, to share about our first economic development program. So take it away, Cash.
Thank you, Jacob. Also, thank you, Nexus, for having us on this call, and thank you to the participants who are engaged with us. So with that said, our program, one of our programs, Freedom Startups, that program comprises of 4 main pillars that concern entrepreneurial development and generational wealth building. Those 4 pillars are training, technical assistance, character-based lending, and real estate. And so with training, we have a curriculum, we call it our Planet curriculum. It's a 12-week course teaching entrepreneurs and teaching together, working together, creating a cohort with these individuals for one of the end goals that we have with this program, which I will get into. But with the training, the training comprises of financial literacy. I got a little script right here. Financial literacy, business planning, credit repair, recovery, retail, sales training, product manufacturing, inventory management, financial therapy, and also a trade exchange program, which Solomon will talk about momentarily. That second pillar that we have is the technical assistance piece. And so what that comprises of is providing real-time troubleshooting when working with entrepreneurs, sometimes in a group, sometimes individually. With that said, part of that TA or that technical assistance happens during some of our structured workshops, but we also provide one-on-one technical assistance and training and things of that nature, with an appointment. Let's see here. Again, more manufacturing, which we will get into a little later. Let's see here. So with some of this technical assistance and thinking about being an entrepreneur, there's different industries that our entrepreneurs work in or are developing. And so folks are going to need different things, right? And so that includes whether you're someone who's thinking about being an entrepreneur, so helping folks develop themselves as entrepreneurs, refining what that looks like in order to be able to scale your business. And so some of the other TA or technical assistance includes branding, packaging of goods, licensing, registration support. Let's see here, accounting, financial management, contract creation, legal agreements. Let's see here, other TA assistance, marketing, advertising, business planning, operations of the business, customer service, sales strategies, website development, e-commerce, grant writing. Let's see here, a few more before I move to the third pillar. Regulatory compliance. So when working in certain industries, say the food industry, there's certain licensing requirements that folks may need, permits, things of that nature, in order to, one, be healthy while they're doing it, and legally know what they need. What has changed, as Jacob referred to earlier, sometimes things change. And with that said, we need to move with the changes. And like a river, we all start off somewhere, our paths go like that, and we all end somewhere. And so I'm right there with folks, whether they're starting their business in the middle of it, and hopefully get to see folks, again, with that self-sufficiency, being able to maintain, sustain, and continue to grow their business. with or without the support that we're providing. But again, that self-sufficiency and keeping that in mind. Our third pillar is lending and financing. And so one of our goals is to develop a business incubator, which is where the training and things like that, folks will have to, it's required, folks are going to have to go through this training to be able to understand how to navigate their business. And so with that said, we are providing some grant support for individuals as we develop this big business incubator that we're calling the culture. And so so that may include working with folks to provide this fiscal support, you know, for inventory, supplies, things like that, in order to give folks a leg up as they're you know, working towards starting their business. Can't really sell your products if you don't have any products, right? Let's see here. So that brings me to my next point. So this fourth pillar is the real estate. And so again, I'm just reading, again, with real estate, we're trying to, we're working with Essentia Health, the city of Duluth, and things like that to find a space that is, you know, adequate for our entrepreneurs, that meets the needs and fits the needs of the entrepreneurs that we're working with. Yeah. And so with that said, the culture, we're also working with LIST, Duluth. They're providing support and technical assistance to us, as well as we're providing support to our entrepreneurs. But the end goal is to be able to have a space where these entrepreneurs can set up shop, do not have to pay rent while they're there, be able to keep that income as they're learning from that technical assistance and things like that, learn how to reinvest in themselves for them to eventually have their own brick and mortar. And with that said, I'm going to pass it off to Solomon. Oh, yeah.
Blessings and love, everybody. Hello. I want to thank everybody for joining this wonderful meeting tonight. We really appreciate you guys for having us. That means a lot to us. My name is Solomon Henry Witherspoon. I am the START director, and START stands for Skilled Trades, Arts, Robotics, and Technology. The best thing about life is, you know, before you finish, you have to start. So I love the name START. So what START stands for, or actually what it is, it's an experimental workspace that exposes students to cutting-edge technology and information in an engaging, nurturing environment. START bridges the gap between Black and Brown students and professions that build generational wealth by introducing the arts and technology-driven career pathways through culturally relevant workshops. Speaking of relevant workshops, we just had a huge workshop last February 9th, actually. We have around 80 kids right now in our program, and we probably had 14 to 20 participants. And we sold everything from bracelets to necklaces to hats to shirts to shoes to jackets. Each one of our young entrepreneurs, I think they all made like around $100. So it's been a true blessing to work with these young entrepreneurs and give them something to do, actually. And START provides an opportunity for students to learn how they can use technology and creative tools in their daily lives, as well as provide them with the ability to apply that with what they learn towards the future employment opportunities. And the things we provide here at our facility, we provide a nice concrete space right now. We also provide healthy information, educational resources. Some of the materials we actually provide, we have 3D printers, laser engraves, we have a heat press, all the way from sewing machines. The nice thing as far as some of the wonderful things that we provide for these young entrepreneurs is everybody wants to be a musician. We have studios. Everybody wants to be an artist, you know. We have everything they actually need to become exactly what their dreams are. So it's been a wonderful blessing to serve the community of Duluth. And on Nexus, once again, we really appreciate you guys for having us.
Oh yeah, we appreciate you all being here. Oh, Jacob, you had something to add.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna tie it all back around, and thank you both, Solomon and Cashmere, for the explanations of your programs. All of our programs serve a purpose, and kind of to give you guys an idea of how START and startups works. I love this example because it's a great example of how our community works or should work. So there's a program that wasn't shared, but can be shared. It's called the Trade Exchange Program. A lot of the entrepreneurs, the adult entrepreneurs that we work with in the community, They start their businesses the same as everyone else, whether that's doing hair in their kitchen and selling clothes out of the back of their trunk, or going on the side of the road and making a stand and selling their products. This is how, in our community, the majority of our entrepreneurs start. When you hear those term startups, I think in corporate America, people assume that you have $50,000 loan or a grandpa who's going to give you the cash to get your business going. But let's be honest, that's not the case for our community. We have to start with what we have in our hands. And so we work with the entrepreneurs with the START program, but also the startups program, where we provide adult entrepreneurs with manufacturing tools and supplies to be able to get their inventory started. But nothing in this world is free. In exchange for the tools and the manufacturing tools and the space to use, the adult entrepreneurs spend a fraction of their time teaching the youth entrepreneurs how to do the things that they do. So essentially, they're getting access to the resources that they need, but also using their knowledge and their talents as a resource for the community, because we need educators of this community. I love this example so much because that is how we build wealth as a community. We do have a lot. My father used to say there's more than enough, and there is. It's not really about what you need, but it's about what you have in your hands and what you can do with what you have in your hands, to improve both your life and the lives of the people around you and the people that you love. And so I'd like to leave that note with all of the entrepreneurs on the call, because the fact of the matter is the talents and the skills and the knowledge that you have, those are very valuable assets for your businesses. And there is a need for those assets in this community. I can promise you, there's always going to be a need for education. There's always going to be a younger generation that you can pass down those skills to. So we are sharing the format of how that Startups Trade Exchange program works with our partners, including our partners down south, because we believe that that's a very valuable tool to move our community forward. And so I would like to just kind of leave you all with that, with the knowledge that your knowledge and your talents is wealth in and of itself. And with that, I want to thank you guys so much for allowing us to speak. And I guess we might be moving on to some questions, Shireen.
Discussion, yeah. So yeah, but each one teach one, as as it's been said. And although he ain't black, Theodore Roosevelt had a saying that I always remembered, is do what you can with what you have where you are, but relevant in this case. So I wanted to talk a little bit, because actually, Jacob, you started to touch on kind of, I guess, the what is unique to Black community when we're talking about business development and kind of an economic structure, or creating self-sufficiency, because creating business isn't just about making money. As you mentioned, it is awfully a spirit behind it, a reason, a seeking freedom. It means so many other things other than just going into business and owning, whether it's a infrastructure or a micro business. So reflecting on the documentary clip that we watched earlier, and anybody can jump in, as to what do you think some of the lessons or values are that we have nurtured or learned through Black business development and entrepreneurship historically. So again, what do you think some of those lessons and values are that we've learned or that we exude, when we develop business?
I'd say the biggest thing, I'm going to just give my thoughts and then open it up for my colleagues to jump in, especially the ones that specialize in entrepreneurship. But what I've learned in the years that we've been doing this, but also just growing up in a low-income family, is that many people in the Black community, we are entrepreneurs out of necessity. It's not, I think we kind of sometimes misconstrue what it means to be an entrepreneur. And I think that the facade is that you're a small business, you own a small business, or you have a business plan that you're working towards. But if you really think about it, every single adult in Family Free Freedom Center is an entrepreneur in their own right. Everybody has something that they do on the side to make ends meet. And I think it is something that we've done out of necessity because the system was not very much built for us to be able to have many of our own things and to own our own things. And so we've had to plot our own way. But that has embedded in us a very natural and organic entrepreneurial spirit that entrepreneurs in other communities could only dream of. And I think it's something that really is a strength for our community because the creativity that comes from having to provide and to make ends meet is how most great businesses are started. They say the best businesses are simple solutions to common problems, right? And I think that even for ourselves, as we grow our own businesses and plot our own course, regardless if it's manufacturing or working in trades or services, is finding the solution to the problem that you have. And that's already something that our community is doing naturally. We've been doing it for hundreds of years. We are the ultimate entrepreneurs. And I try to tap into that as often as I can as an entrepreneur myself. It's just understanding that one of my favorite lines is a Jay-Z line. It's like, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. And that's such a true point in the families that we work with and in ourselves, is understanding that what that concept is. 50% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. And I think that oftentimes people hear that and it sounds terrible, but they don't often give you the figure of the percentage of entrepreneurs that fail or succeed in the first 5 years. But I can tell you the majority of the entrepreneurs that I know, they do succeed. The only way they don't succeed is when they quit. But if they have a business strategy and a business idea, they try it. If it doesn't work, they try something else. If that doesn't work, they try something else. But eventually something's going to take off, and eventually something's going to click. And so I try often to remind myself of that, and I hope that everybody else can just remember that also, is that our entrepreneurial spirit is literally embedded in our DNA because of how we've had to survive and thrive as a community for the generations that we've been on this earth.
Yeah, and I would say listening to Jacob, the one thing that popped in my head when you were asking Shireen about like what's a takeaway from watching that clip, I heard and saw persistence. Just constantly just going, figuring it out. And I think as far as the entrepreneurial spirit and it being in our DNA, I definitely agree with that. But the word that popped out to me was persistence. Just keep going.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you had anything to say.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. So another thing, I guess, when I thought of that question was also the, when you think about, particularly what struck me about this documentary is not like it's something that you didn't know, but it's always the grind, the ever wanting, to the goal to always try for more, to ascend or transcend your situation. And again, some of these people, that were enslaved, our ancestors, being enslaved in the most hopeless situation that you could be in, to not have control and autonomy over your own body, and not only your labor, but your own body. So I think certainly that persistence and something that we've learned, by baptism by fire, to, as you said, keep going. And certainly the lessons, that we've gotten, we've kept going with. But can you explain, talk about, people often say things like, business, that if you buy Black, or you support Black businesses, you're supporting that community. Can you all talk a little bit about how you think, and not necessarily, talking about an institution, but even an entrepreneur who has a business, in that community, serving that community in some way, or that community are their customers or clients. Can you, I guess, kind of make it clear, how is community and business symbiotic, or could be, symbiotic relationships, or have synergy in some way?
The Black community is one of the highest grossing economies in the country. If not, I think it's the highest purchasing economy in the country. Black people buy everything, and we keep this economy going by the purchases that we make. And I hear, we do events like the BIPOC showcase that Solomon was talking about in February. And it's about exposure for Black owned businesses and for BIPOC businesses in general. And the overall concept of events like that is to get the greater community to understand and to see and to support the businesses that we're creating. But I think the real key to success is us supporting each other. We put a lot of money into the economy as a whole, but how much are we investing in our own communities? And so I personally believe that, we should buy from each other, buy from within your own community to keep that money circulating in the community that you're in. I think that's really, and you see this across the country. You see these economies in these Black business districts in places like Houston and New Orleans, and all that money stays internal. It stays within the neighborhood and where they're at. They buy from each other, they use each other's services, they support one another in that sense. To just keep it real, sometimes I feel like our community, we kind of hate. You see somebody else that's doing something good, and there's that scarcity mindset that doesn't naturally want to support that, but more so wants to look at what they're doing and wondering why you don't have that. But I think that going back to that concept that there's enough wealth within our own community, and this is a proven fact, that there's enough wealth within our own community of the money that we make as an economy to sustain each other. And that's really what we're doing here as a whole when we work with multi-generations of families and trying to bring entrepreneurs together. And Cashmere, where he brings, a dozen entrepreneurs together every month to learn from each other, but also to support each other and to share the connections that they have, and also hopefully to purchase from each other and to do business with each other. And that's what keeps the wealth moving in our community.
One thing also too that how I really what really sparks my interest of being the director for the START program here. I've been on board now for about probably 6 weeks, and as far as how to engage in Black owned, I guess, support within the community, we are the trendsetters for this right now, unequivocally. We have the children right now, kind of our forefront right now. And what's awesome is to see the parents' face when they see their little son or their daughter that just made a brand new, Black Power shirt, or their little daughter that made a brand new beaded necklace, and they made a hat, or they made a painting, or they made a beat in the studio. They're like, "Mom, you got to look at this," And for me, it's kind of cool because I call it the church effect. When you walk in church, you feel that you receive the different message and you're a whole different person. When I come into work, it's the church effect, because for me, when I see a little child, just the enthusiasm and the smile on the face, like, "Oh my gosh, look what I did, Spoon. This is so cool." It makes me want to buy it. You know what I mean? So I got a lot of white friends, and they want to buy a lot of the stuff that we're doing now within our community because of who's actually physically making it. You want to see our spread right now. If you've seen our spread, you got to see what these young Black men and women are doing right now. It is so astronomically beautiful, and it makes you want to buy it. And again, you find out who actually put their hands on it. It's kind of like, I'm supporting that right there. So just involving the children right now is kind of we're setting the tone right now.
We can show a little bit about our story. I'll show a little something about our story, but I also want to speak to the effect of But yeah, kids made all of this merch right here. We have racks and racks of merch from nails, jewelry, socks, hats, paintings. Yeah, so like kids are producing this stuff. Yeah, and so but going back to the events, we have a multitude of events, community events, like Jacob said, either daily, weekly, monthly. And so one in particular is our merch ups that we have, and essentially they're opportunities for entrepreneurs to be visible in our community, and we purposely and purposefully keep these right here in this neighborhood, which I don't want to call necessarily impoverished, because I don't want to think of, again, like that scarcity mindset. Um, we have wealth. We have wealth in a multitude of other ways that is not fiscal. But we intentionally keep events here in this community to build this community out, and be proud of where we're at and doing it together. And so some people may want to, leave and let me go over here or try to go over there, or maybe if we go over here, we'll be seen more or something like that. People are going to come here. They're going to come to us, and we're going to build out this community. And so a lot of folks in this community, they feel so much pride about being here, and we're going to keep expanding that and give opportunities for entrepreneurs to develop themselves while developing other folks, as we're developing the kids on a multi-generational level. And so that just got me really excited.
I got one more chime in one more time real quick, though, just to kind of leave it on this note for me. Once again, just us meeting right now at this time right now, it's an indication that every decision we've made up to this point in our life has led us to this conversation right now. And it's very inspiring to know that there are like-minded people out there, that we're just trying to spread the word. And we're trying to keep on keeping on. So I just want to say, hey, honestly, man, it's awesome. And once again, I'm more motivated today than I was yesterday.
Yep. And even speaking about buying and purchasing from each other, we had another meeting earlier today, and with other organizations. You can call them BIPOC, you can call them brown, whatever the case. But with that said, from even going back to the last event, February 9th, there were other entrepreneurs there, adult entrepreneurs, youth entrepreneurs, but ones that weren't part of our organization, but were out there selling their merchandise, and they're going to each other's tables, purchasing merchandise and things like that. And a meeting that we had earlier, one of the individuals was like, "Oh, did you grab that candle?" And I was like, I didn't grab that. I grabbed a bunch of like other stuff, but I was like, the person that makes those, they're back here. Let me go take you back to the person. They exchange information, things like that, to purchase each other's goods. But yeah, connections professionally while doing our job, and externally and simultaneously as an entrepreneur and someone who's physically at work, just connecting. And so yeah, it's awesome to see. I think I brought at least like 3 people back there earlier today, like, oh yeah, a lot of visitors today. And they all want merch. They know where she works and they want her stuff, and let's connect.
Absolutely, that's great. That's also part of Nexus work, as well as cooperative economics and looking at models of Black cooperative economics. That's great. Well, one question that I had was kind of more of who is a business owner or entrepreneur that you all admire, and why? And when I think about that question myself, it's actually a young woman who I knew, who was in a bad situation, didn't have, the best of upbringing, and kind of absentee parents. And she started selling these blankets that she would make, and she would get this fabric that was left over just from the fabric store. And she started making these blankets when she was about 12 or 13, and to be able to support herself, to make sure she had something to eat. And this young woman is now, sent herself to a HBCU. She just, so she really inspires me, because she did what she could with what she had, where she was. So yeah, I just wanted to ask you all to talk about a business owner or entrepreneur that you do
I'm gonna,
admire.
I'm gonna chime in myself because this is what my father taught me. My father was actually, he was born in 1910. He was actually slave free, and my father was.
Wow.
But he always taught me, he said, Solomon, I'm going to make this quick. He said, Solomon, you need to love yourself first. You know what I mean? If you don't love yourself, you can't love nobody else. So as far as a business owner, I mean, I respect myself. I humbly have to say myself because my demographic, I'm in Duluth, Minnesota, and I opened up a soul food restaurant in an all white neighborhood. And so many people told me what I couldn't do, but the Lord showed them what I can do. And in the midst of my despair, I opened during COVID when, you had to sit like 6 feet apart. I was packed every single day and I sold out 4 times a week. So I guess just, kind of not listening to the naysayers, but keeping faith on your back, you know what I mean? And it's okay to fail. It's okay to be wrong. But as long as you put that right foot forward, you can always say you tried. And I'm going to leave you with this. I hit a goal every single day unequivocally. I smile at night, even when I don't feel I should. So I reach all of my every single night I hit my goal. And I go to bed with that, knowing that. So I'm just going to say myself for starting a business in the midst where everybody told me I shouldn't. But we always go against the odds. So God is good all the time. So absolutely, thank you guys.
Thank you. I don't know if anybody else wanted to respond or I should move on. We have about another 5 minutes to this section, and there was one that was kind of burning. to
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I would just say honestly, and I kind of touched on it earlier. My parents, both my mom and dad, they stayed together until my dad passed. They were a team from their time they were 18 until their 60s or 50s. And I got to watch them. They had kids very young, and I got to watch them as entrepreneurs start so many businesses. It seemed like there was a new business every single day, from selling cookies on the side of the road to chimney sweeping to selling paintings. They both worked separately but together at times also. And that's where I really learned what it meant to be an entrepreneur. It's bigger than, I kind of touched on this earlier, it's bigger than just a business plan. It's a spirit. It's a spirit that you have that says, I don't want to work for anybody else. I want to work for myself. I want to make things on my own, but also I'm going to do whatever it takes to succeed. And I think that's the gift that they gave me, and watching them both succeed and fail over and over and over again until something worked. And it was all about, I mean, honestly, there's 7 kids in my house. It was about feeding us. It was about putting food on the table. It wasn't about having $1 million business idea. It was about providing for the family. But that motivation, along with their determination, is, I believe, what led them to success ultimately later down the road, is that trial and error. So I'm very grateful.
I want to say something quick too. Jacob, you just brought back a memory, a strong memory. I remember back in Chicago, my dad, I swear, this man, he got you ever see the folks in the movies, like CDs, DVDs, what you need, jewelry, watches, Rolexes, printing out his own stuff, cutting it up, finding his own packaging, putting stuff up in there. I remember he moved. He recently passed a few years ago, but I remember I want to say about a year before he passed, he used to always go. He moved to Iowa, Dubuque, Iowa, and he would go back to Chicago, grab Italian beef meat and all this other stuff, and bring Chicago food to Iowa. And then knowing, social capital is another great tool to have. And so knowing folks who are, pastors or this and that, and may have access to this space and things like that, and cook his food, set up shop outside when the young kids are drinking and doing their stuff, and then they want something to eat and pop out right outside of places. Pops had ideas after ideas after ideas, just constantly doing really, it appeared like random stuff, but it was him just being his own boss, making his own money. So that just made me smile. Yeah. I'm done.
Oh, no. I'm glad that you all, mention these things though, because I think that sometimes people will try to make that diminutive, like when you have all of these different side hustles and businesses, as if it's not, legitimate, or, I myself have three, and I, have a full-time job as well. So it is definitely, it's definitely one out of necessity, but also the idea of moving toward freedom, also always betterment, some way to better your life. And that's not necessarily like trying to keep up with the Joneses, but meaning that you want to be self-sufficient, the desire to be so. Well, I want to thank you all so much for having this conversation. What I do want to get to is some of the participants' questions. If there's any questions, please start populating them in the Q&A. And so just to, again, reiterate that Jacob, Cashmere, and Solomon are all from Family Freedom Center in Minnesota, Duluth. I'm not sure if anybody on here tonight is also from North Dakota or South Dakota, but I'd like to, just keep in mind, like if there's any resources that are, national that people might be able to tap into, that, or information that might be helpful to them as well. So let's see, I'm going to take a peek in the Q&A and see if there are some questions. If not, we're going to keep going with a discussion, y'all. So does anybody, and let me check the chat. Okay, so how can someone be a part of the programs if they live in the Twin Cities? A part of I believe that they may be asking, how can they be part of you all's programs if they live in the Twin Cities? Is that possible?
So glad you asked, because I was going to come in and say something about that. Go to our site, our website. At the top, you'll see programs, and then on programs, you can click on startups or freedom startups. Technical assistance these days can be provided from just about anywhere. We do work primarily with people in the Duluth area, but we also have a lot of entrepreneurs that have since left the area that we still help out in every way we can. We have, even today, Solomon and Cashmere and I were in a meeting where we learned about probably one of the most valuable education resource platforms that I think could exist. And I won't get into detail about it right now, but we're essentially putting together kind of a one-stop shop of on-demand educational assistance, as well as the work that Cashmere does in technical assistance. We want to see businesses grow. We don't charge for our services. We do have, like I said, kind of that pay it forward model. So if you are receiving free services, we might put you to work out in your neighborhood where you're at to have you each one teach one. But we are very open to helping people from all across the area, both the Minnesota area and the Dakotas as well.
Okay, cool. Let me see. Okay, so there may be one in the Q&A. How do we find incubators? Looking for a space that's different than other wellness spaces where we are celebrated and not tolerated. They're in the Twin Cities. I would love to be in the Selby area or George Floyd Square. So just kind of the question is, how do we find incubators? If anyone knows of any, I don't know if there's a database or something online that might be able to be consulted. I myself, I don't know about specifically for wellness, but Springboard for the Arts is a good resource, which is also here in St. Paul. And I just mentioned them because they do so much programming, particularly around artists, but they may also know about available spaces and incubator spaces that, and then Juxtaposition for a while was also had like an an incubator space. But again, I'm an artist, so I'm kind of talking from that perspective. I'm not sure about a health and wellness space necessarily. If
You know, in
anybody
terms
else.
of the cities too, if I can, we work with the Neighborhood Development Center very closely. We're partners with NDC, and they are in the Twin Cities area. They're the creators of Midtown Global Market and Frogtown. Those are the larger incubators that are, you know, pretty massive. But they work with a lot of organizations like us and a lot of smaller organizations that are working towards the same goal. And the business incubator model, it isn't new, but it's definitely getting a lot more attention, especially from you know, some of the stakeholders in the community, of understanding the importance of collective space and shared space for entrepreneurs. So I would check them out. Neighborhooddevelopmentcenter.org, I believe, is their website. And they have all the information on there of how to get in touch with an incubator in your area, I'm sure.
Okay. Let me see if I'm going to check the Q&A again, make sure that there's not another question. No, I don't see a question there. I have a question. Given that you all have, was it 4 pillars to your organization? Self-sufficiency, there was one more, and the business development. What was it again? Those 2 that I'm talking about. Family and self-sufficiency, and the business, am I saying it right? Business development.
I want to say generational wealth. I don't want to misspeak either. Creating generational wealth.
Are you talking about the 4 pillars of the organization?
Yeah. One was family and self.
Youth and family education, economic development through micro businesses, put me on the spot, the intersections of race, poverty, and class, and family self-sufficiency programs. And a lot of those,
I guess,
a lot of them kind of are interconnected in a lot of
So what I was wondering is how you all start, and then I'll get to the question that I saw in the chat, come up in the chat, is how do you first help people in a situation where kind of like, what is the first step? If someone wants to start a business, has an idea, but doesn't have, you know, has no idea maybe where they'll get the resources from, kind of what is there kind of a formulaic way of which you do it, or it's just case by case basis?
I would say definitely case by case. However, when folks fill out their registration form, the information comes through our system. I'll have contact information to reach back out to folks. I typically, if folks are in this area, I typically have folks come here, do a site visit, and just, like, you know, check out the space, get the vibe for the space, and be able to just sit down and have a conversation about where they are. And so we do work with individuals with the initial aspects of through our planning curriculum, as I was speaking about earlier, with ideation, so idea creation, brainstorming, things like that. And really just that's the first part. What's your idea? And really just go from there. But yeah, setting up a site visit and just an initial meeting, or you would call it an initial assessment. I usually just do an initial meeting. After folks register, I send out an additional link, which asks some more specific information. So that way, when we do sit down, I'll have it so I can try to, I don't want to say guide the conversation, but be able to provide, I'll have a better understanding. Like if someone works with, as a construction worker, I wouldn't be talking about, you know, yarn, or bringing up, you know, and so it just helps guide where folks want to go, but it puts my mind in a place where I can focus on that in particular, whatever industry that is, and whatever stage entrepreneurs at. Yeah.
And those tools, you know, of even just filling out the online form, we don't we don't do that just because we like people to fill out forms. In fact, I know how much people don't like filling out forms, but there is power in writing it down. And I think that that is probably the best thing that any entrepreneur can do with a business idea. My father used to say this, and it used to annoy me. It's not real until it's in writing. And there's truth to that. And I know a lot of people, including myself, I don't really like to write. I don't like to sit down, even though that's my job. I write grants all day, but it's not my favorite thing to do. But to get your thoughts out on paper and to compose it in a way, even if it's not perfect. The best advice, there's a very valuable tool called ChatGPT. There's a free version of it. One of the most valuable things I've learned how to do is to get my thoughts out and then send it into ChatGPT to help it translate that into a legible body of work. So you can go right now to chatgpt.com and you can just write out all of your idea as much. Don't worry about the spelling. Don't worry about any of that. Just write out every single thought that you have in your head about the business and the idea that you want to have, and then tell it to translate this into a proposal. I promise you, it's probably the best trick you'll ever learn, to be able to really compose your ideas in writing, so that you can help share those ideas with someone else. Because the next step, once it's written down, is to share that idea with potential stakeholders and investors and people in the community that can help you move that idea forward. But sometimes when you just sit down and you don't have it in on paper, you just kind of end up rambling, kind of like the way I am right now. So just do that simple task. It'll take you less than a half an hour, and then come back to us and then tell us what you've created. I'm sure we'd be happy to hear about it and to help in any way that we can.
So one of our teammates had asked, can you all talk more about your youth entrepreneur work?
They asked if we could talk more about our youth entrepreneurial work. Let's see here.
Read it verbatim. It says, can you all talk a little bit more about the youth businesses, entrepreneurs you're currently working with?
Yeah, essentially exposing youth to things maybe they have no idea exist, like a 3D printer or a laser engraver, showing them how it operates, maybe showing folks what can be done with using whatever the equipment is, creating business plans. It's a lot of the things that we do with our adult entrepreneurs, but and I don't want to step on your toes as far as working with the youth, but developing business plans, strategies, talking about profit and loss as we're developing things and working towards future events, marketing, logo development, business card development, networking opportunities to essentially create a cohort amongst themselves while in that program. Essentially similar work. And the youth that do, I don't want to call it graduate, but graduate start, they can be in startups as an adult, because Start works with youth ages 6 to 17. So once folks hit 18, they can be in the startups program and continue to receive that support.
Yeah, I think, I mean, as you all talked about earlier, I do as well love the idea of the intergenerational teaching, because, I had an experience where I was into media very young and had a career. And then once that show ended and, I went to film school, but I really didn't have any opportunity I didn't have a step after that of where to go, and to still have mentorship and, so yeah, I love the intergenerational and the thinking that goes behind that to make sure that this is not just a success for the moment, but a continued success. Opportunity.
Yeah, most definitely. And we have entrepreneurs from different categories of ages or different generations. From our elders, we have elder entrepreneurs, folks below that age range, and our young people who are teens, and then our young folks as well. So yeah, every aspect and the support doesn't stop.
Did anyone else, or is there anything that anybody else just wanted to talk about? Because if not, we're gonna do this drawing. um, or mention maybe I'll say this as well. If you are, I don't know, there were some things that I cut out of your bios that I had to. So if we can expound on that of some of the other stuff that you're doing as well, just so that people are aware of that. Like my side hustle, is upcycling furniture. I'm also a photographer and videographer. Um, so if you could talk more about some of the stuff that was trimmed, like the music industry.
Should I put you on the spot?
No, it's
Should I?
cool. No. What do you mean?
I said, should I? Go right ahead. Yeah.
No, I'm still currently a musician myself right now. Also, pretty much that's what my side hustle right now. Is just making music, doing a lot of writing. Just staying motivated. That's it. So not that that's it, but just there's a lot behind that. I could go on for days, but for now, that's what I'm. Just right. It's all about the kids, making sure that I'm gonna set them up for success. Period. There's all that's to it. And I'm gonna be in love with what I do every single step of the way. It's not supposed to be easy, but that continuity, what it's all about. So all about the kids, all about my faith, my family, my coworkers and everybody else. We're a family, so we act like it and we love each other. And you know what? That makes me smile. That's all I want to do in this life. That's it. There you go.
And I myself,
Yes, a few things. Go ahead, Jacob.
I have a few side hustles, well, businesses. I come from like I said, I come from a family of entrepreneurs, and I have brothers and sisters, 6 brothers and sisters, and each one of us is an entrepreneur. And then we have endeavors that we work on together. And I think that's my favorite part about my family is that we are collaborative in the way that we work with each other for each other's success. And the same could be said for all communities that learn how to work together. Family is a very broad term, especially where I come from, that there's some family that you choose and some family that chooses you and some you have no say over. But I even saw in the chat about the importance of the family aspect and the generational wealth. I believe that is key to success. No one is going to fight harder for you than the people that love you the most. And so if there's any way, any chance to get into business with the family, and I know some people say don't do that, but I swear if there's any way to have shared goals as a family to work towards success, especially if it's multi-generational. We have, like Cash was saying, we have daughter mom groups that they both have businesses, and there's places where their businesses overlap and they support each other. That's where that true strength and power is. And so my advice to everyone would be identify who that family is for yourself, and build a team and get to work, because that's going to be the strongest team that you'll have from beginning to end.
I would say that even add on to that, before I may speak about other endeavors, one thing that I've learned also is, say, for instance, strengths and, I don't want to call things weaknesses, but strengths and then areas for improvement, are 2 different things. And as you're working to build that team and things of that nature, folks who have stronger strengths than you is also something to consider as you're, developing those strengths at a higher level as well. And a few things that weren't on my bio that I'll highlight. I'm also a national motivational speaker. Been to the White House multiple times. It's been from, I want to say, 2008 until about, I slowed down, I want to say in like 17, but helped get 2 bills passed, first pieces of legislation for youth and foster care. The Fostering Connections to Increasing Adoptions Act, that was passed in 2008. First piece of legislation, like I said, in like 20, 25 years. Currently, I do speaking engagements for young people in juvenile corrections facilities and foster care facilities, and youth-led and youth changing, youth empowerment. I don't even like the word empowerment, but youth empowerment facilities where folks work with youth. So that's still something that I currently do. expanding on my series of books that I didn't mention. You guys can go on Amazon if you want. As we talk about supporting Black folks, I recently just published my first children's book called Afromations, which is on Amazon, which provides language for caregivers as they're speaking with their young people, affirmations, positive words of encouragement, things of that nature, and for young people to learn that language for themselves as well. You know, I am beautiful, I am smart, things like that. So it's I want to say it's maybe like 15 pages. It's a short read, some cool illustrations in there. So yeah. Also photography,
Although,
videography, cinematography. I can name a few more, but
although I will say, check your boycott list on the day you make the purchase. Let's see. So we're gonna do a drawing real quick for the prize drawing, so we could give out these two $50 gift cards, and we have one thing to part on after that. So we'll wait until this drawing's out before we close out. So Lavasha's gonna try to share her screen.
All right.
Nothing.
I'm also gonna pop the survey in the chat really quick. Or you want me to do that after?
No, go.
Okay, I'm gonna pop the survey for this session. Really want to thank our speakers. I know Shireen's gonna do all that, but I want to pop the survey in here for you all to give us feedback on tonight's session. And then I'm just gonna share my screen and do what she told me to do. So let me pop that in there. And then let me get the screen shared, and then making sure that I have everybody's name in here and nobody popped in afterwards before I share my screen.
And please do fill out the survey, the link that she just put in the chat. It helps us, improve or just know, how you experienced the workshop, or if you had any ideas or connections, resources.
Okay, so okay, you can all see my screen. I can't make it bigger for some reason.
I can see it.
I can see it.
All righty, so I'm gonna spin it. I was kind of messing with it earlier, trying to put our logo on there. It's a little messy, but it'll pop the names up so you guys will be able to see the winners for tonight. We're gonna pick two names from the participant list who all joined us tonight, and then afterwards, Shireen will follow up to give you like next steps and send the gift cards to you electronically. So first person. Woo! Got a winner. I think it's Carrie's D.
Are you here? Just respond in the chat if you're here. Here's D. Seeing a response. Are you here?
More seconds to respond. Then we got to pull somebody else. So just making sure. They might have just popped off too. I just see the number go down one person. Okay. Well, we're going to pick another one because you do have to be here for the drawing. So, unfortunately. All right. Give somebody another chance.
It was kind of like the Price is Right, Will. Waiting for that. Hit somebody.
Okay, our first person is Tanisha. Is Tanisha still here? Just pop something in the chat. Oh, I know that's right. That was quick. All right, Tanisha. Tanisha's getting get her gift card. All right,
all right, I got
it. Perfect. And then one more person. Second person is Leah. Is Leah still here?
Come on, Leah.
Right.
She's here.
All right, Leah's here. Tanisha's here. We'll be following up with you afterwards to get you the electronic gift cards. They will be coming via email. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Lavasha, for doing that. I just wanted to, let me go back to my so I had my little script as well. let's see. So we're almost at the end of our time. I just want to say again, thank you so much to Family Freedom Center for sharing with us tonight about your work and just your spirits. And we look forward to
Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
and I'm looking forward to at some point coming to a First Friday and just more. Yeah.
A Freedom Friday. Oh yeah.
We'll have a plate for you.
A Freedom Friday. Yeah, we'll have a plate. Yeah, bring some friends.
We're coming. We're coming.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to end with a thought, because usually we'd be like, all right, well, that's it. So this is a quote from Audre Lorde, one of my favorite writers, among one of my favorite writers. When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I'm afraid. So we're going to end on that note. And thank you all once again. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And we will follow up with them gift cards. Have a good night.
Thank
You
you.
guys have a
for
great
being
night.
with
Thank you
us.
again.
And ladies,
Have a
God bless
good
you. Thank
night.
you so much.
Good night.
See ya.
Okay. So